So my name is Brian. I'm one of several ops supervisors for the agency. I did assist in communicating and helping facilitate them set up the plans to get everything done. So today we have two statues coming from our original site in Yonkers, Hawthorne, from the campus that we relinquished over the past couple of years. The couple of pieces from campus that have significant value have been brought over to our main office to not only represent our new space, but also represent a bit of our old space. It means hope, help, service, and anything that we can do to help the people around us in dire need. Love working at Rising Ground because I get to work with so many awesome people who have empathy and support for the people that we support. All of our clients around the city look to us for guidance and help in so many different ways, from mental health to just regular homelessness and dealing with the tough points of New York City, ACS, group homes, things of that nature. It took a lot of people. I couldn't give you a number, but from our donors to our upper management to even middle management and everyone in our ops department, as well as our general services and facilities department, working together to put this all together and actually make it a reality.
I'm Demetrius Komodromos. I'm the founding partner of Method Design. I'm the architect for the Rising Ground office space, and we are excited to bring the 200-year-old statues into the space and connect the kind of like old original history of Rising Ground with the new contemporary history of the office and the work that Rising Ground is doing to come. Yeah, so it's a really interesting, really complex process. So right underneath where we're standing is actually a train line. So first things first, we had to go through 4 months of getting MTA permits and permission to basically have a crane. So they calculated the weight of the crane, the weight of all of this. Then we actually had to get the weight of the statues, which is about 1,800 pounds a pop, and make sure that the slab upstairs can support that weight. And then we had to devise a whole means and methods, working with the crane company, the contractor, and the monuments folks, of booming the statues almost 100 feet up in the air, getting it in through the window, pulling it through the window, and getting them into the space without screwing into any of the structure or doing anything like that. So we're pretty excited. This feels like an adventure. 4 months, 5 months in the making. So I think everyone's got a lot of adrenaline and very excited to make it happen.
So my name is Colin Parks, and I have been in my current position for about 2 weeks. I am the newest operations manager here at Rising Ground, and I've been with the organization for 3 years. I was in the training department, training all the new hires and current employees. I was in that position for about 2 weeks short of 3 years.
Oh, wow, okay. So you've seen some of the transitions here at Rising Ground.
A lot, yeah, since 2022. So right now, it's a great time because we are getting ready to bring John Watts Jr. and John Leake both through this window behind me and place them. One is going to be behind me and one is going to be in front of me around the corner, so that they too can greet all of the new hires and the guests that visit Rising Ground and pretty much tell the history of Rising Ground for almost 200 years. So I was part of a small part of the planning, the very tail end of the planning, and I'm here today. So it's really exciting. It's incredible to see this happen. This is almost like a one-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Rising ground means comfortability, home. It means inclusivity. It means welcoming. And all of these things mixed up into one big old bow and a bundle. And being a part of the Rising Ground family means a lot, not just to me, but to all of the people that come in contact with Rising Ground, our person supported, our staff, everyone, our vendors, they all feel welcome. The significance of these statues goes back 200 years, right? These are statues of the founders of Rising Ground, formerly Leek and Watts, and it tells the story of how New Yorkers not just survive, but how they overcome adversity as well as adapt. And these statues are doing that right now. They're adapting, they're going to adapt to their new environment, and they're going to thrive.
This is it. This is what we're working towards.
I'm so excited. This was the missing piece to the puzzle. This was the last piece that we needed, and I'm so excited. All that's left is to just tip them into their final positions for the next 30 years and forever, hopefully. Okay, so my name is Susana Chinchilla. I'm with Method Design. I was the lead designer and project manager on the architecture side of first Rising Ground's new headquarters, which is where we're standing right now. And that's how I was originally introduced to the statue project. So Demetrius and I, since the very inception of this project, have been working very closely with Rising Ground and their historical artifacts as part of the graphic language of the space. So we had this idea of bringing history into their new headquarters, but we had logistical problems with the actual sizing of the statues. And so we looked at many different versions that explored potentially cutting the statues, replacing material with alternate materials like wood or resin or composite to see if that would help us actually fit it in through the elevators. But ultimately we decided to bring them in through the windows and in their original form as they are. This project started in late 2022 as an architectural project. I would say these statues started in early 2024, late 2023. So this is one of 4 historical pieces that we've decided to bring into the space. That Rising Ground really was the driver deciding, and we hope to coordinate. I think it's part of the larger, like I said, graphic language of the space, which uses a lot of color, a lot of vibrant signage, and language throughout the space to help orient both Rising Ground's everyday employees and everyday staff, as well as welcome guests and welcome people coming in to do trainings or people who are not familiar with the space. So it's a way of bringing their 200 years of history into the new era in Manhattan. I love working with Rising Ground. I am so honored to be part of the design team and to be part of not only this space, but the rest of the design process with Brooklyn and Bronx and other spaces. And I'm excited for the future, and I'm excited for what's to come.
I'm Lisa Sutherland. I'm Chief Operating Officer at Rising Ground. So today we made history by bringing in 2 of our historical statues from our former Yonkers campus. So I'll call it a beautiful statue, a beautiful hassle. It's been many, many months in the making. We've been working with a variety of different vendors to actually get the statues here and to what you see tonight. We've also worked with the City of New York to get many permits to be able to get the statues here appropriately and make sure that we did it safely. So what you're seeing tonight is just a culmination of months and months of preparation in order to get these 2 statues here. So we're standing in Rising Ground's new administrative headquarters, and this is a new space, brand new, state-of-the-art, that we created for all of our administrative staff and all of our staff to come and enjoy. But because we are a 190-plus year old organization, we wanted to make sure that we brought a little bit of our history with us. And so being able to bring just a small point or a small piece of our history was really important to us. So we came up with the creative idea to be able to bring some of the statues from our former Yonkers campus and bring them here so that we will always have a piece of history even though we have our new space. So Rising Ground is a very unique place in that we are steeped in so much New York history, but we also are moving forward as an organization, and we are in the business of helping people. Every year we help over 25,000 vulnerable New Yorkers across New York and even up through the Westchester area. So being an employee of Rising Ground, you really have to have the heart for the mission, and our mission really is to help all or as many New York children and families as we can. So if you have that heart for helping people, then we definitely want you here at Rising Ground. So I've been here now as Chief Operating Officer for 3+ years, and I feel like it's a mix of being able to continue to push our mission forward, which even though I'm on the operations side, that's still really important to our staff, but it's also what keeps me here is really my team. We are like a little work family, and we really enjoy the work that we do, and we're really passionate about it. And so those 2 things coming together is what keeps me here at Rising Ground. So you can go to our website at www.risingground.org. There is a donate button, so you can click that and definitely donate. You know, all the proceeds go right back to our programs to continue to help people. Or you can follow us on social media on our Instagram. It's Rising Ground NY. And yeah, just following us is of great support to us.
I'm Alan Mucatel, the CEO of Rising Ground. So when we were designing the space and we were making something really contemporary and modern and appropriate for a new office, we were also grappling with the fact that we were leaving this campus that we owned and had been our home since 1890. And we wanted to preserve the legacy of the organization. And we looked around and had these statues and some plaques, and we just came up with this idea that it would be wonderful if we could incorporate them into the space. And that began a very long process that led to this evening with all these architects and engineers and crane people and monument people who pulled together to bring these artifacts to us. It's our hope that when staff come to our space, this is our administrative headquarters, that they connect with the long history and legacy of service and caring that has been the hallmark of this organization, and that they're able to give thought to the idea that the work has in some ways remained exactly the same, and in other ways has really changed and evolved as society has. At Rising Ground, we're about helping people to move upward and forward in their lives. That's the rising part of our name, by providing a solid foundation from which to grow. That's the ground. We do it through a wide array of services, some 100+ programs supporting over 30,000 children, adults, and families here in New York City. Everything from child welfare services to supports to people with intellectual and developmental disabilities, mental health supports, assistance to survivors of intimate partner violence, early childhood services, youth development services. I think when one chooses to work at Rising Ground, you've made a commitment to support your neighbors, meet them where they're at, help them to achieve the goals as they see for themselves, and that you think of your work, I think more as a commitment to the communities around us. And I'm always grateful when somebody has chosen to be part of our family. I often think that if I were John Watts or George Leake, I would first be very proud of the organization that it is at this point, but I do wonder what it must, if they could just be transported back up to today, whether they could understand who we are and how we function and the world of technology and even the challenges that people face today. We have this abundance of riches that didn't exist at their time, but also we have challenges that they didn't have either. And so if I were them, I think I'd just be very proud that the orphanage that they founded has blossomed into this real force for good in our city. To learn more about Rising Ground, you can go to our website, www.risingground.org.
My name is Jennifer Scott and I'm the Communications Coordinator at Rising Ground. I've been with Rising Ground a year and a half. Working at the organisation is great. It's a very New York City organisation, and coming in at a time when this whole project was getting underway was really exciting. As my role as Communications Coordinator, I had to sort of dig through some of the history to find out about the statues, and also, you know, I hadn't worked at the Yonkers campus, so I was really learning the history and finding out a lot about these guys. Behind me is the Honourable John Watts Jr. And I think what's interesting about this statue was discovering that the statues weren't actually, this statue in particular wasn't actually created for the Yonkers campus. The Yonkers campus was actually designed by Frederick Law Olmsted, who also designed Central Park, but the statues hadn't been part of it until John Watts's grandson, John Watts DePaster, was very involved in the Leake and Watts Orphan House because, you know, Watts died, but the legacy had continued with the grandson. When Leake and Watts was moving to Yonkers, he commissioned this statue from George Edwin Bissell, who was a very well-known sculptor of the time, and he wanted a statue to be in the Trinity churchyard. Our origins are at the Trinity Church, and he wanted to have a physical reminder of John Watts's presence in downtown Manhattan. Bissell, the sculptor, liked his sculpture of John Watts so much, he asked for permission to make a replica, which is this guy. The sculptor, Bissell, liked his work so much with the statue that he wanted to make a replica to be shown at the Columbian World's Exhibition, which is also known as the World's Fair in 1893 in Chicago. So he asked for permission and got permission, and they created this replica. So it went to Chicago, and it was apparently a big hit. It had a great prominent position, and then at the end of the fair, they still had the statue. So DePaster thought, well, a good place to put it might be Yonkers. And then he wrote to the rector and said, you know, we should put this in the campus. And then they had to organize transportation from Chicago to New York. And he was worried about the condition the statue would be in. So I find it quite endearing and amusing that this statue's been causing logistical challenges and transportation issues for over 100 years. The statue's been a presence back in Manhattan is a really interesting full circle moment for Rising Ground. I think the geographical movements of Rising Ground and also the evolution of Rising Ground as a human services organisation really reflect the history of New York City. I think that we're really excited to have our main office back in Manhattan, and this is just another physical, tangible link to history.